Hello! In this video we're going to be taking a look at how to queue up for Warfronts, what to do once you're in them, and how they can help you gear up your character and collect some cool transmog items. My name is Tsetzuko, and on my channel I create informative videos about World of Warcraft to help you increase your skill and play more efficiently. Warfronts are a new feature that were added with Battle for Azeroth, along with Island Expeditions. They were one of the two kind of big systems that were promoted by Blizzard. And they are 20 person PvE instance content that's kind of a weird hybrid between a MOBA, a real-time strategy game, and World of Warcraft, because you kind of do a little bit of everything in there. Warfronts do give you the ability to get some higher level pieces of gear. And I do have a video talking about everything leading up to the point where you can actually queue for Warfronts. So I'll link to that in the description below if you want detail about that. This video is mainly focusing on the actual Warfronts that you can queue for. Now I will give you a quick summary of how this cycle kind of works. Depending on where your faction is at, you're going to be in one of 4 phases. The first phase, your faction will control the area that's being fought over. You'll be able to go do some quests and fight a world boss. In the second phase, you'll kind of just be waiting around. The third phase, your faction will be making contributions to be able to go and take that area back from the faction that has taken control away from you. And the fourth phase, you'll be able to queue up for the Warfronts themselves. Currently, each one of those phases takes about a week. I imagine this will get changed, and when it does, I'll make a new video about the updates, and I'll link to it here. Okay, so how do you queue up for Warfronts? Well, when you're in the right phase, your faction will be able to go out to your war table. For Horde, that's going to be at the port of Zuldazar down here to the south. And for the Alliance, that's going to be in Borealis. And it'll be kind of between the Tradewinds Market and the Ashvane Docks, sort of here in the middle. You can just go up to your war table, you right click, and this is where you can queue up. It's going to tell you that you're able to queue, in this case for the Battle for Stromgarde. It tells you how long you have left to queue, and you can click the button to join queue here. If you're not in the right phase, then this will be grayed out and you won't be able to queue up. So keep that in mind. If you are able to queue, your next phase when this timer is up is going to be controlling the area that was fought over, so you can go do your quest and fight the world boss. If you're not able to queue during this phase, then your next phase will be handing in contributions to help your faction build up the strength to go and queue up for Warfronts. So you can queue for these multiple times. You can do them over and over again while you're able to queue. One of the reasons you would want to do that is at the end of each Warfront, you will get a loot drop that is a piece of 340 gear. And that also does have some special transmog properties as well. So you can go into these, queue multiple times, try to collect the transmog, or try to increase your gear score if the items that drop are, going to be an upgrade for you. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to queue up for the Warfront, and then we will talk about what to do once you're actually in there. Alright, so we're entering the Warfront now. When you first get in, there's going to be about a minute or so before the actual Warfront starts. That gives everybody time to load in if you need to make any preparations, if you want to cast, like a buff on your whole raid. All that kind of stuff, you can do that here. We're going to start out in a ship, and we're going to kind of para-drop into the zone. But once you get in here, you're going to notice a couple of things. One, we do have some objectives over here. We got some people we need to kill, some things we need to rebuild, and some places we need to capture. We also have a little menu here. This is a resource menu. It covers the 2 main resources that you're going to use during Warfronts: iron and wood. Wood, you can have a maximum of 100. It's used to build buildings and upgrade troops, and also you can trade it in for buffs for your player. Iron is a more important resource. You can carry a maximum of 200. It's used for all the same things as wood, but it's also used to produce troops and other things like that. So that's going to keep track of the iron available to you. Alright, so it's time for the Warfront to start, so we're just going to run out here and we're going to do our little paradrop in. We are dropping into the ruins of Argarok right now. Horde side perspective. Same thing if you're on the Alliance side, some names and stuff may be different, but all the mechanics should be the same. Once we get in here, we need to take this back from the Alliance. So we're going to see a named character with a flag on his back. That's who we need to kill. As you can see, we have an objective over here. Veteran Sergeant Slade is the character that we need to kill. And this sets up the mechanics for how the Warfront are going to work throughout the entirety of this content. So we have to take down a named NPC, and then once we do, we're going to click on this flag, and that allows us to capture this location. Capturing the location gives us control of it, and it gives us the benefits of that location as well. Now this is going to be our main base, so we need to capture this location in order to do anything. Capturing this location will let us rebuild our Great Hall. Our Great Hall is required for us to create other buildings and build other troops. So that's why this is the first thing that we're going to be doing. So once we have taken down the named character, someone will go over here and they'll click on the flag. It's a pretty long cast time. But the next thing we're going to want to do is we're going to want to move out and capture the Dry Whisker Mine and Hatchet Ridge. Dry Whisker Mine gives us the ability to collect iron, which is, like I said, a resource we're going to need for just about anything that we want to do in this scenario. And capturing Hatchet Ridge allows us to collect wood, which is another resource that we can contribute to. So we're heading over to Hatchet Ridge, and once we get here, you're going to see again, there's going to be a named NPC who's going to have a flag on him. And this is the guy we're going to have to kill, and then once we do, we're going to click on this flag, and that's going to capture the camp for us. So that's how it works in every single one of the camps that are on the map. So we're going to take him down, and when we're done, I'll come back and tell you the rest of what goes on at the lumber mill. Okay, so we've taken down the NPC. We're currently capturing the lumber mill. The first time you capture these places, there'll be a little quest for you that you're going to get from the NPC that has the little orange flag, and it'll kind of explain the mechanics. Sometimes it does an adequate job, sometimes it doesn't. At the lumber mill, you're going to be able to come over, and there's going to be an axe right here. If you click on that axe, it's going to give you a buff, which is the Lumberjack's Axe, and once you have that buff, you gain the ability to go out and chop down trees to collect woods. So, the trees that you can chop down are these sort of whitish gray ones here. When you are able to cut down a tree, you're going to see the little buzzsaw icon on your mouse, and if you cut down that tree, it will give you 20 wood. Around 20 wood. It's off by, you know, maybe 1 to 5 every time. Also, capturing the lumber mill means that peons will go out and they will start to chop down wood as well, and when they do, they'll leave it in a little pile, and you can click on that pile and you can get a couple pieces of wood that way. So here's, hopefully I can find a better example that isn't hidden under a bush. There we go. So here's a pile of wood. You can collect that. That's going to give you some wood. Alright, so we have captured the mine, and we'll go over to the mine and we'll show off how you're able to collect iron. You're going to notice that once we capture the mine, we're going to have this number in white in parentheses here. That is the amount of iron that is available in our iron stores. The iron stores are sort of a passive generation of iron. So what will happen is as you're out doing other things, that will passively build up, and you can go back to base, click on the iron stores chest, collect all that iron, and add it to what's currently on your player. Now when you come down to the iron mine, you're going to be collecting iron from these iron carts. And you could do that outside of the mine, but you can also go into the mine as well and collect iron. There are enemies in here. There are kobolds that you have to fight, but you get a substantial amount of iron from each of those carts, roughly around 20 as well. And we're going to take these resources back, and we're going to talk about the different buildings that you can build and what they do so that you can best utilize your resources. Now, there are requirements for these buildings. Here's a couple of trees we can cut down. There are requirements for these buildings to be built, but generally speaking, you're just going to hit them naturally, so there isn't really a lot of planning that has to be done around that. Just know that if you're not able to build a particular building like this one over here, it's probably because the requirement hasn't been met yet. Okay, so what can we do with our resources? We have several buildings inside of our base. The barracks is one of the most important ones. It's the one that allows you to recruit troops. So if you come over to the barracks and you right click on the NPC, you're looking for the one that has the big icon over their head, you'll see that you have the ability to recruit 4 different types of troops. You've got your grunts, which are kind of your basic melee attackers, your axe throwers, which are ranged attackers, shaman, which will heal your units, and then wolf raiders, which have some AoE damage and some ways to slow down enemies. As you can see, these have requirements before we're able to build them. All of them cost iron. The next building that you can build, and I say that just the next one we're looking at, not necessarily that you have to build them in this order, is the armory. At the armory, you're able to contribute your resources to increase the attack power of your troops and to increase their health. So this is how you build up your troops and make them stronger. Up here we have the Altar of Storms. It probably will have a different name if you're on Alliance. This allows you to contribute resources to give yourself a buff. It will give you a plus 10% damage and healing buff, and it gives you a 10% health buff, and you can cash this in 4 times. Also, while you're out on the battlefield, you may get an extremely rare drop called an Essence of Storms that allows you to cast Call of the Storm on yourself. This will increase the damage you deal and the healing that you deal by 150%. Also, it will increase your health by 150% and your movement speed by 50%, and it gives increased damage and health to all nearby friendly troops and players. So if you get the Essence of the Storm, you get the Call of the Storm buff, you want to go and get in with some other players and help them increase their damage as well. The last building we have in our base is the workshop over here that we haven't built yet. This allows you to build siege engines, which are required to actually finish the scenario, and we'll talk about those more once we can actually look at them. Okay, so we're going around and we're upgrading our different things. We have our Great Hall here, and once we have the Great Hall, we can start contributing resources to upgrade it to a stronghold, and we can also upgrade it to a fortress. So this will give us increases as well. So upgrading to the stronghold will increase the number of troops and peons that we can recruit. Upgrading to the fortress will increase damage dealt by our demolishers and give our commanders special abilities, all kinds of cool stuff. So we're going to go ahead and while we're doing our explanations, we're going to go and just contribute our resources here. So let's contribute all the wood we have, and there we go. We just upgraded to a stronghold. We've got some iron we can contribute as well. We can go over here to the workshop, and we'll go and contribute our iron to the workshop. There we go. Okay, so what else can you do besides collect resources, upgrade buildings, and send out troops? Well, if you look on your map, there are several camps. There are 5 different camps here. These can be fought over by the Alliance and the Horde. When you capture a camp, you're going to find the named NPC. you're going to kill them, then there's going to be a flag you can click on, just like what we showed in Hatchet Ridge. Each of these camps will offer a different bonus. The front camp here, which I can't see the name of, but I believe it's North something. We can go take a look. This camp actually doesn't do anything special. The main thing about this camp is it's very close to your base. So Northfold Crossing. This camp is very close to your base, so you want to use it to protect your base. You'd rather have control over it than the Alliance. Also, your siege engines go up the middle path, so you need to clear the way so that you can actually finish this scenario. Now, the way this works and why it's kind of like a MOBA is when you recruit troops, they will send troops out to each of the different paths. We have 3 paths here. We have a center path, a west path, and an east path. So, going down the center path, we have our first camp here that doesn't do anything special, but we need to capture it because our siege engines go up the middle path only. Then we have High Perch. When you capture High Perch, it gives you access to flight locations, so you can fast travel amongst the different camps that are in the Warfront. On the eastern path, we have one camp, the Circle of Elements. Capturing the Circle of Elements will allow you to trade in your resources for a powerful elemental ally who will then go up the east path and attack the enemy. Also, you need the Circle of Elements in order to be able to start recruiting Shaman to your team. On the western path, we have one camp, which is Newstead. Newstead will give you the ability to unlock a Kodo Rider. The Kodo Rider is something it's a unit you can actually use. It's got abilities, it'll charge and things like that. So it's a pretty cool beast to have as an upgrade. You also need Newstead in order to be able to recruit your Wolf Raiders. So, in addition to collecting resources and upgrading things and building buildings, you can go out with a force of players and work on taking out these different camps. The final camp, which I can't see the name of, this camp here, Valor Call Pass, there we go. This camp is the one that you need to take in order to push into the stronghold. So it doesn't confer any big benefit, but it's another camp you need to capture in order to finish the scenario. So once you've captured all these camps and you've got all the benefit, then you'll be able to break through into the gate with the ultimate goal of defeating the enemy commander. So while you're in here, you actually have 2 kind of different things that you can do. You can choose to be part of an attack force that goes out and tries to take on these camps, or you can be part of the people that hang out in the back and gather resources to help build troops, upgrade troops, send troops out, build buildings, get player buffs, all that kind of stuff. So you can kind of play to whatever style you prefer. For the majority of the Warfront. Eventually, once you've captured all the camps and stuff like that, everyone's going to want to go to the forefront and take down the final boss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around, I'm going to collect some more resources and try to help build up our base here so that we can upgrade this to a fortress. So I'll go ahead and we'll collect these iron stores. Go ahead and contribute these. Now, something that's going to happen is this right here. The Alliance is able to send out counter forces. So these are going to be computer controlled units. And when I say the Alliance in this context, I don't mean Alliance players. This is entirely PvE. There is no PvP here. And what they can do is they can push into your base, they can destroy your stuff, they can take back camps that you have successfully acquired. So, for example, we acquired this camp. We've got our Northfold Crossing, but the Alliance can push back at us and they can take that from us. So we constantly need to be creating troops to protect our own stuff, and also we need to be defending our home base as well. Okay, so we pushed those guys out of the base, and I want to take a minute and look at the workshop here, you can produce a demolisher, a siege engine for 80 iron, and you could have a maximum of 3 of those. So that's eventually what we're working towards, is upgrading everything and getting 3 siege engines out there and taking these camps. So our stronghold is now a fortress. Once you get to this point, pretty much the only thing you're going to want to spend your resources on is getting those siege engines out, possibly getting your player buffs. So let's go ahead and we'll get our player buffs. You can see these last for 10 minutes. Also, you can make sure that your troops are fully upgraded as well. So since I'm playing on a prot warrior for this particular one, I actually kind of prefer to go around and collect resources and chop down trees because, you know, if an enemy attacks me, I can kind of just ignore them. Also, if I do get out there and fight against the NPCs, then I wind up in a position where, you know, I can't kill the things unless other people are helping me anyway. So I like to go around and collect the different resources and just help build up the base. That's what I'm doing now, so I'm going to go ahead and do this, and I will cut to when we're towards the end of the Warfront here so we can take a look at how that is going to play out. Alright, so I wanted to show off the Kodo that you can get here. So you can pay 100 iron. That gets you onto a Kodo for 6 minutes. We've got a ground stomp. Well, this is a stampede. It's your charge ability. Inflicts a bunch of damage. Generates a lot of threat so you can tank for your group. Your second ability is Ferocious Gore. He deals damage and knocks back all enemies within 15 yards. And then the last one is War Drums, which gives haste to all nearby allies. So we can just head right up in here with this Kodo. Boom. There we go. Do our ferocious, our gore here. Pretty fun little charge ability. Okay, so once we get up here to the gate, we're going to have our siege engines, our demolishers are going to be back here. And they're going to stay here, and they're going to rain down destruction onto this until we capture this point. This is Valor Call Pass. Once we've taken the flag here, the siege engines will move up. And then we'll be able to start attacking the actual gate. Now, once you're up here and your siege engines have moved up, you're going to want to protect them. And the way that you do that is by obviously keeping all these enemies off of them. But you can also go over to these little buckets right here, the little tool barrels, and you can get tools. And those tools will give you a little buff, and they will let you repair your different your siege engines. Now, what's going to happen is during this phase, a bunch of Alliance troops or Horde troops, depending on the side you're playing, are going to come out of this front gate and try to attack you. And if you look, this gate has about 50% health left. And once that is down to 0, then we'll be able to go in and fight the final boss. Okay, so in this scenario, the Alliance actually managed to take Valor Call Pass back from us, so we had to recapture it. And once they took the pass back from us, you can see our siege engines actually moved back. So now they got to come back up to the front again and start working on the gate again. Fortunately, the gate is just about down here, so that is the kind of thing that can happen here. So we're going to wait for this gate to finish, and then we will show how to take down the last boss. So if you do die during the scenario, you'll spawn back at your base. I recommend that during the portion where you're trying to take the gate down, you don't run up there. They do a ton of damage. There's all kinds of people trying to attack you from the wall. So definitely don't run up there and try to take on an entire Alliance force by yourself or Horde force. because it's not just the force you're contending with, it's all the other stuff that they're going to do as well. So once you break through the wall, you're going to be able to go in, and there's going to be a couple of groups of enemies that you're going to take out before you're able to actually attack the main boss himself. So you're going to go ahead and do that, and in our case, for the Horde, our prime enemy here is Daneth Trollbane. So he's the guy that we're trying to take out here. Once you kill him, that's going to automatically complete the scenario. There's going to be no time for anything else. It's instantly going to pop up, and that's going to reward you with a piece of 340 gear. And then you'll be able to re-queue for another Warfront if you want. Alright, so we just won. You're going to see we get an Azurite cluster. We got our 340 piece of gear, and after that, pretty much our only option is to leave the Warfront. So you'll get your 340 piece of gear. The first time you do the Warfront, there'll be a quest that'll actually get you a guaranteed piece of 370 gear. And there are 3 different tiers to the transmogs that you can get from the Warfront sets. So the Alliance has a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, so does the Horde. As you increase in tier there, you're going to increase in the detail and complexity of what those sets look like. So that's Warfronts kind of in a nutshell here. There are definitely some issues with them. I expect there to be some changes when those do happen. I'll provide an update video. Hopefully, for the time being, this has helped you get into Warfronts, actually know what the heck you're supposed to do, and help your team to play more effectively and get these done quicker so that you can farm them for those guaranteed pieces of 340 gear from the final boss. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, throw me a like or drop an idea for a video in the comments below so that I can continue to create content that's going to help you when playing World of Warcraft and help you improve your skills and play more efficiently. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.